When looking for the king of podcasts, you're at the wrong channel.
Well, excuse me!
Looking for good ideas for life? You're far from good hands.
Hey, bud, what's your problem?
If you think the listener is always right, you're far from the right place.
Out of order! Even in the future, nothing works!
Hosted by a Northeasterner by birth, but a rebel by choice.
Are you threatening me?
If you want a host that floats between love and madness,
and we know the night is always gonna be here anyway. Thinking of you's working up my appetite. Looking forward to a little afternoon delight.
then play on and listen to Crazy Train Radio.
All right, guys, listen to this blues riff and B. Watch me for the changes and try and keep up, okay?
Warning, creators of this game do understand the subject matter may be offensive to some, but they do honor the families and people that have been affected by these real-life tragedies that these individuals have caused. Want to play a game?
Oh, yeah!
Lover of true crime?
Yes, yes, yes.
Well, we got an interesting game for you to check out.
Wow.
With the mashup of influences such as horror movies, collecting cards, and RPGs.
What?
Led to giving birth to an incredible creation of this game, Killers, the card game.
You are all my children now.
This game is a collectible trading card game featuring some of the most infamous killers, with tidbits of trivia on the back of each card to help you learn some insight to each criminal.
Who the hell are you?
Let's not forget, during the game, cops will be chasing you and these criminals.
I'm a cop, you idiot!
However, check out their website listed through all social media today, which can be found under Killers, the card game.
Am I on the internet?
I want to play a game.
Hi, I'm Lin Shaye, and you have been listening to Crazy Train Radio. They're not so crazy, though. They're awesome.
Hey folks, it's your least favorite host in the podcast world, the Croc, Jonathan Steele. And boy, do we have a good one for you today. So, I heard this person say something along the lines of, do what you love and love what you do.
Yes.
And she came back a second time to torture herself. So, I don't know why, but God bless her for it. I'm teasing. But she has a new little project that she is in New York for, getting ready to go, tripping on life. Let's say hello, Lin Shaye. How are you? You seem as jovial as usual anytime I've had a chance to interact with you. So how are you?
I'm great. I've been in New York now for about 3 days, 2 days actually, and we've been rehearsing the show. It's kind of a dream come true. I never envisioned this happening. I never envisioned writing the show. If you believe that there's a guiding hand somewhere else. I mean, I created this not knowing anything would ever come from it, and I'm really excited. I feel very strong about the material. The response has been wonderful, which is why we're doing it in New York. We only ran it for 5 shows in Los Angeles, but the response was really the response made me cry. It was so overwhelming. So we thought, let's go for it. We're on strike, as we all know, so there's nothing other than theater right now, which is really my first love, really, anyway. So this is an incredible opportunity, and thank you for inviting me on the show.
Of course. And obviously, like you said, the strike's going on and hopefully things will be settled soon. But I was thinking about that, but you kind of already answered that with theater being the one that's active. And you have a unique perspective, though, which I would think, because I have a lot of acquaintances and friends within the professional wrestling industry, and some have done some acting as well. And the reason I say you have a unique perspective, because I have heard theater is truly your first love. However, the perspective is when you do television or film, it might take several months to a year for it to come out, to get a reaction of
Right.
ticket sales, what people say, reviewers, all that stuff. With theater or wrestling or sports or anything that's live, as they say, you know and can see, engage the room on the reaction, good, bad, indifferent. So you mentioned obviously the 5 nights you did in LA with this, but I do want to mention that with the show, you are the writer and performer in a
Correct.
one-woman show that, and if I remembered this correctly, you were talking about life in, I believe, San Francisco at the time in '68, and it's an
Correct.
introspective exploration of personal growth set
That's
on the time period, and there was a life-altering experience that shaped your life in this time period. I heard some people may know, but I don't. What do you care to share what this experience was at this point in your life that happened?
I think that's something to share for the show. It's not a secret or anything, but it's a turning point. And what kind of the goal is, and I didn't think about this when I wrote it because I barely remember writing it. It's so interesting that things spill out of you that you don't know you're capable of or that you're thinking about. Um, I think we've all had a moment in our lives that have changed our lives. It's not my moment, but it's your moment. And it could be anything. It could be something very simple. It could be you learned how to make a something, you learned how to make a cup of coffee. I mean, it could be anything that could be as simple or as complex as as sometimes happens. So it's sort of saying that we go along our life. I mean, this is also immersing in that era, which was so filled with hope and love and a very different temperature than we have now in our world. I mean, it was from one end to the other. We hippies,
Peace and love. Peace and love.
which I didn't know I was one, but I guess I was. It was really about goodwill and real optimism about there's hope and things are gonna be better because it was coming out of the Vietnam War. I mean, there was so much going on in 1968. It really was. There's a recording at the beginning of the show where it talks about the year that was, and it really was the year that was. There was so much happening in 1968. Kennedy was killed, Bobby Kennedy was killed,
Yes.
the
Martin Luther
Vietnamese
King.
War. I mean, it was just one thing after the other. Martin Luther King, racism, Civil War. I mean, it was an impossible year to even digest one of those elements, and we were just overwhelmed with all of it. So and my personal life, and the hippies or 1968 in San Francisco was a lot of not denial, but um, protection. I mean, a lot of drugs. There's no question about that. That was a big part of
Shocker.
our culture. We were rockers. We were
Shocker
we
that
were
time period.
smoker shockers and rockers.
All I need are some tasty waves, cool buzz, and I'm fine.
Everybody smoked a lot of, we called it dope then, but it was very actually mild pot compared to what's around now. And a real sense of we're all good, we're all one, it's really the sort of genesis of humanity was accentuated at that time. We're all one, everybody's the same. We all want the same things. We all should love each other. We should all embrace positive ideals. We should all end the war. We should all end hatred. I mean, they were big ideas that were you were allowed to talk about it without feeling silly because that was really the way we wanted to live. So there's a lot of that in this story. And my personal event, as I said, is something not so much to be noted as that we all have, everybody who sees the show or everybody, period, we all have something in our lives that makes us different and makes us think differently and feel differently. And especially when you're in your 20s and from which you grow. And I feel that's what this show is about, and hopefully will stimulate memories for all of the people who see it about their moment in life as a young person that generated who they become and who they became. And you still have the opportunity to change if you want to.
Exactly. And we were saying, but before I hit that little red button here, that I am going to come up. You are doing some versions of this show in September, but it goes through October it's going to be
October,
on
it's September 8th to October 8th, basically.
Okay, yes. So I'm going to come up within the early part of that to check things out. So I'm going to connect with you and Joe and all and Gina and make that happen. So, but it's going to be on Theater Row up there in NYC. So if you're in the area, we'll put a link to it. But if I heard this correctly, and you told a acquaintance of mine, Mr. Neil Jones, Neil the Nasty, as you guys were joking.
Neil the Nasty.
Yes, because I was, floating around and stealing everybody's gimmicks. I tease, folks. But you guys were talking about, did this start it as possibly being made into a short film? So what made you want to go the direction? I want to try this on stage as things were being put together.
I don't even know exactly when I started writing this, but it was probably about 8 to 10 years ago. And I did think I'm going to do a short film based on this time period. And then it kind of occurred to me, raising money for a film is not so easy, blah, blah, blah. And it kind of sat there, and I had 10 pages that I wrote. Some of it is narrative. And I thought I'll just, I'll just show it to people. So I showed it to my manager. I showed it to some directors I know. Everyone read it, and who read it liked it, but nobody said, yeah, let's do a film. I mean, first of all, we all know making a film is really expensive, even a short.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to have a budget, and you have to raise the money, and it's a whole endeavor unto itself. And I actually, my acting career started in theater. I never thought about doing film for ever, really, until it sort of fell into my world. And I started thinking about kind of a hybrid show. It's part theater. I say this in the beginning. It's part theater, part poetry, part song, part screenplay. It's a little bit of everything. And I would still love to have this turn into a film. I think it is a film. And when I do the theater piece, it's cut to, close up on, cut to, close up of. I'm reading basically and experiencing, hopefully you are experiencing a screenplay that I've written. So that's not off the table for me. I mean, I can't finance it. It may just be a theater piece, but I do act out all the characters. And I thought, I love theater. There's something very special about walking out on a stage and having a sea of people in front of you. And there's a real transmission of energy that's real. There's nothing like it. And that's how I started as an actress. And I'm so excited that it was received so well in Los Angeles that it gave me the courage to put this together for New York.
And I find it interesting that you are taking the chance, and obviously there's some other people, like I mentioned, behind the scenes, whether it be Joe and Gina, your brother Robert Shaye, yourself.
Right.
But
It's really my brother Robert. It was my brother who said, let's do this.
yeah.
I mean, honestly. So
What's that
anyway,
like for, and he's obviously been producing things for years and years and years. Obviously, people know him from New Line and everything else like that, and his story, and would love to tell his story one day. But what is it like for you in terms of having these folks around you? Like you said, your brother, big part of this, and everybody banding together and investing in yourself to, hey, we have this, we might have something here, and here we are with the form that it's in right now. What's that like? Is there extra pressure compared to other projects you worked on, or is it?
no, it's extra joy. I mean, it really is. And I don't know, you can't ever, it's hard to project ahead. I mean, if it's just these 5 weeks or whatever we have, however that if it mathematically comes together, of doing this show in front of a 99 seat house. I just saw the theater for the first time yesterday, and it's fantastic. I'm so happy with the theater. It's a 99 seat house. Theater Row is just great. It's a beautiful complex, beautifully put together, clean, with a just kind of an aura of openness around it that's really wonderful. So I don't have any goals further than this. This became a very important moment. If someone is interested in doing this as a film, I got all kinds of ideas to write it, to help, turn it into a real screenplay. But for right now, I just want the idea of having that one-on-one interaction with an audience is really what I'm looking forward to. So, if it wasn't for Bob, I mean, he's the one that said, let's do this, let's go. And he's, been a very wonderful supporter of me over my whole career. There's nobody like Bob Shaye. I mean, he is a one of a kind artist, businessman, and friend. And I'm grateful he's my brother.
Yeah. And I would say the one word that would stand out as well, and I had never had interaction with him, and especially a close relationship like you would have, brother, sister. But Maverick seems to
He is
stand
a
out.
maverick. 100%. That's a beautiful, thank you, because that was the word missing from the description. Yeah, Bob has his own vision. He's dedicated to positivity, whether it be horror, whether it be drama, whether it be comedy, whatever it is. He's a real storyteller, and with great integrity. And everyone who's ever worked with him knows that. But he is a maverick. He goes, I want to do it this way because that's the way it needs to go. He's not manipulated by the forces beyond. He's his own manipulator and his own decision maker and his own genius. I mean, I don't feel funny saying that. I think my brother is a true genius.
Well,
I got in on the ride, but he's the genius.
Hey, if you can, why not? I don't blame you one bit.
Right. We're family,
Exactly. And we won't say about sneaking into the drawer and only finding, what you didn't want to. Yes, I heard that. Yeah.
Wait a minute. It's true. When I was little, he had the front drawer of his desk that was locked. And when he wasn't in his room, I used to go in there and fantasize about what was in the drawer. And I don't know what I thought. I didn't even imagine what was in there. I just wanted to know what was in there. And I was always terrified he would see me either in there or wonder what I was doing in his room. Because, when you have a big brother, his room is very private and very special, and little sisters are not invited.
Yeah.
And I think what I finally found out, it was mostly coins,
And stamps.
old coins that he collected, stamps and coins.
Yeah. It's funny. And speaking of having versions of collectibles, and I'll get back to what I was thinking beforehand. But since we're there, last time chatted with you, it was yourself, me, and co-host at the time, Elena from Ireland. You shared a little project, which was, or not project, but it was a piece of collectible that I thought was hilarious. And it
You
was
mean my
from,
boobs from something about me?
yeah. And folks, I still had the clip, but I didn't do anything with it. But it was hilarious because Lynn says, you know, you mentioned, oh, I had this and all, and we put in a shadow box and all this. And she goes, do you want to see it? Let me go get it. And ran and got it, and it was just hilarious. It went in a completely different direction. It's like, I was just
Well, I
like,
still, just so you all know, I still have my boobs.
Oh, giggity, 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 goo.
yes, and make sure you get your physicals, everybody. All
Right,
kidding aside,
exactly.
yeah,
You totally make sure you get your physical so you're healthy. But
yeah,
that was, and that was, it was really, that was quite amazing, because I just happened to, I I after the scene that we had shot with that, I just thought I'm going to keep these, and they turned out to be a real keeper.
yeah, absolutely. You don't throw it in a shadow box for no reason. And that I think you're the only person to go, hey, I got my boobs in a box. Like,
Right, I got my boobs in a box. It's alliteration as well.
yes, but tripping on life with writing, and I know a lot of people who write as well. Is it difficult for you? Was it difficult for you to? Would you nitpick little things within the story you're telling? Like, or when did you finally go, all right, this is what it is. Here's the
It's ready to
story,
go.
and let's see where this goes.
Well, here's kind of what happened. I showed it to several other directors I knew, and everybody thought it's nice, whatever, we're not sure what it is. And Robert Galinsky, who's the director of the show, is a wonderful artist on his own. He does these beautiful, funny, heartfelt one-man shows. And I met Robert through Gina Rugolo, who's my manager, and she met him through an actor who's one of her clients. And he invited us. He's very, very forthright and forthcoming, and he invited us to see one of the shows when he was in LA. And so I went with Gina, and he was great. It was just great. He actually is a fascinating person. He teaches inmates at Rikers Island. He's done that to teach them about acting and exposing them their personal traumas and their emotionality in a theater format. And is an amazing person. I mean, in all ways. And so I saw one show he did with my manager a few years ago, and I thought it was just great. And then he had this, she called me and said, Robert's here in LA. He's doing his show for one night. Would you like to go? So I went to that, and this was the one that was about Rikers Island. And I walked, and it was great. I mean, he's just, he plays out, and his main show is called The Bench, and it's about the homeless who he has befriended over the years and has developed characters that he's met on the bench into stories, and it's just fabulous. And that was what I saw with my manager. So he's just gifted beyond, great writer, a great storyteller, and a terrific actor because he acts out all the characters. So we went to see it, and after I came home, I thought it was like a light bulb. I thought, I'm going to show my 10 pages to Robert and see what he says. So I sent them to him. I sent him a little note, and I said, can I send you this? He said, yeah, send it on. I sent it on. Within moments, he got back to me. He said, let's do it. And that was it. And I said, oh, he said, keep writing. So now it's 36 pages, and it's still under an hour. I think performing it is a little bit under an hour, or maybe an hour plus a few minutes. And he's just been the most wonderful inspiration to me. And without Robert, I don't think it would ever happen. So here we are, going to be on Theater Row, where I wish I had all the info in front of me. Let me see, do I have it? No, I don't have it. I thought I had it.
I will
We'll
put
get to that.
graphics. I'll put graphics, all that fun stuff. So,
But anyway, it was inspired by Robert saying, yes, let's do it. That it's really something special. So I didn't write it with the intention other than, again, I thought maybe someday we can turn it into a short film, but it may be more than that. It may turn into a wonderful play, that will go on for a while. But even if we only do it this month, I'm happy. It's a very exciting opportunity.
So obviously you mentioned about everybody having a defining moment, like you did at that time that this piece is on or whatever, whether it's big or small. But is there a particular thing or theme you think will come out as far as real communication that people will have, not only about the show, but their personal stories as well?
I think it allows people to investigate their own lives and go, what was that made me change? It's really a moment of change. And we all change every day. I mean, every event changes us. You have to really admit that. But there's turning points in our lives, whether it's getting someone dying, someone finding someone, leaving someone. It could be a pet, you don't know what that is that really changes your insides and contributes to your growth. And that's what this event did for me. And that's what I'm hoping it will make people think about in their own lives.
So the show is tripping on life, and we're gonna have links and all that fun stuff. And obviously, like you said, people evolve and whatnot. We're all different from our 20s to our 30s, 40s, etc. Do you find yourself now the best version of yourself when you think of your whole life, or was there a particular point that you said, this was my best self?
I think the answer is yes. I feel more compassionate, more patient, more thoughtful, more supportive at this time in my life than maybe I ever did. Um, I'm very happy. I love my life. I love living. I just love living. I think it's well, it's certainly the greatest adventure we'll ever have. But I think it's the greatest adventure you could have because you have the opportunity to change every moment of your life by the way you behave, by what you see, and by how you evaluate your day. That we can rethink ourselves. You can reinvent yourself anytime you want. We're not trapped anywhere. I mean, we may be physically trapped somewhere. You may be in a marriage you don't like. You may be a mom and you don't want to be one. You may be a mom that doesn't have children and would love to be one. We're all different, but there's always the opportunity every single moment of your life to go, I'm going to make that different. And you can make a move. We're sort of programmed to think that you're on a path and you have to follow that only. And that's not the case. You need to break that thought, I think. And remember, we're all octopuses. Octopi, is that the right word? We've got
Right.
many arms that are spreading out all over and touching all kinds of different stimulus and all kinds of different events and people. And at any moment in your life, you can take one of those paths. And I think that's unfortunately a real trap in general. People feel trapped in their lives and they don't know how to make a change. You can change anything you can imagine. That's what I think. If you can imagine it, you can change it.
There you go. And obviously, as we said, everything's kind of on hold on the Hollywood front because of the strike and stuff. But
Right.
Insidious Red Door has been successful as well. So, can I ask you a question on that before we wrap?
I guess I have to be careful, but yes, ask the question and I'll let you. I probably can, of course.
Okay. Yeah, obviously, I want to be respectful of all that stuff, but I'm curious to know what was it like working with four different directors, but also being able to bring what you thought was right to the character Elise, but also throughout the evolution of Elisa's character in 4 films, is there something, a characteristic that you liked and you brought to your life, talking about your growth?
Yes, I can say that. I think what makes a character, whether it be Elise or any other character, and especially that character, successful, is she's a listener. She really, I think we all forget to really listen. We're so busy formulating what we want to say to the person back, we don't even hear what they're saying to us. And I think the character, a character like that, is appealing because she is a listener without judgment. And so if you take these into a broader spectrum, those are qualities we'd like to all have as a person. I'd like to be a good listener and not be judgmental. I'd like to be able to listen to people and give them an opinion without feeling like I'm betraying myself or them. And to be able to portray any character, whether again, I'm being a little cautious about talking about a specifics, but I think those are qualities we can learn from movie people. We can learn from movie characters, who they are. We can become better people based on who they are in a fictitious situation. And I think being a good listener is a very important quality for all of us to develop and maintain.
Absolutely. Well, the one woman show from September 8th into October, Tripping on Life, Lin Shaye. Click the links, go see her if you're in the Northeast. Thank you so much.
Oh, you've been wonderful. Thank you for, I'm so sorry I was a little late.
It happens, I get it. And hopefully we will, when I come up, be able to have a cocktail post show after a great.
I would love to. That sounds great. Thank you so much, and great questions. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Hey there, Friday fans. We know how much you enjoy the movies. Enjoy grabbing your Friday merchandise and interacting with the Friday family, whether it be at conventions or during our particular watch-alongs. Well, when you're looking to get yourself masks, why not check out our friends over at Camp Blood Customs out of New York State and order your specific custom mask from any of the films. All orders are made specifically. Your needs and wants are. Make sure you find Camp Blood Customs on Facebook, Instagram, and all over social media and order yours today.
What's going on, world? This is Mark here, the world's strongest man, not in just one, not two, but 3 different sports. And I am on the crazy train.